Twisted Christian. Today I'm going to be discussing the currency manipulation law and the possibilities that could come before and after that. This is basically a follow-up video to the last video that I did concerning that particular law that goes into effect on April 6, 2020. Now, we're not looking for anything majorly to happen that day. There's always the possibility, but we're going to discuss some of the possibilities of that. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank you guys for your support on the Patreon and supporting the Grigori Project. All the Twisted Christian support links are down below in the description, as well as that article that I currently have here that we're going to be briefly discussing. We're going to go ahead and get into this. And also, too, in my next video, I'm going to be discussing those penny stock currencies that we were talking about. And we'll be dealing with that, and I'll give you my thoughts and everything on that in the next video after this one. Alright, so just really quick, and just read just a paragraph and what this new currency law does. Okay, on February 4th, 2020, the Commerce Department issued a final rule that paves the way for imposing tariffs on imports from countries determined by the U.S. government to be undervaluing their currency relative to the U.S. dollar. Various members of Congress have debated such a policy for years, including in 2013 and 2015. Okay. On April 6, 2020, the rules that go into effect and U.S. industry can begin submitting petitions for potential relief to the U.S. International Trade Commission and Commerce International Trade Administration. So that takes place on April 6, 2020. So they're going to be able to put tariffs on imports from countries that are undervalued or manipulation of their currency. So first of all, this is pretty big. So there's some speculation that because of this, that countries will raise their value, right? And that's what the global currency reset is about. It's about raising the value of the currency. And then this new rule helps in that, because now countries are going to have to decide whether or not if they're going to start raising their value or they're going to start paying more tariffs. And with some countries that are purposely manipulating, who knows? I mean, the President of the United States has the authority to issue sanctions. So we look at this chart here, and I've been over this in a video before. We talked about the gold standard and the announcement and the implementation. We talked about the worldwide economic central bank crash, or the global currency reset, which is all the other currencies when other currencies start to change in value. That's the way that I look at it, because I think the dinar is going to be the first one. Alright, so we have, and then we also have the new currency law, right? April 6, 2020. So there's three possibilities, and and the first one is that anytime that a new law or a new rule is passed, right, what's the first thing that takes place, right? So if you have a new law concerning IDs, or if you have a new law concerning going to the airport and getting on a plane, and so states have to try to get things ready beforehand, right, because of this new rule that's going to take effect. Or when the government puts out a new rule concerning social media or the internet, then all these companies have to comply to that by a certain date, so they start working on it before that particular day. So that's the perspective that I'm looking at. Now that these countries, they pretty much know that this law is going to be in effect on April the 6th. So they're going to have to make a choice whether or not if they're going to continue to pay tariffs or raise their value. So the first one is, what if they start raising the value before the particular day, right? They're already ready to go. They're ready in place. They want to be in compliance by April the 6th so they don't have to pay any tariffs, right? So if we know that the dinar, in my opinion, the global leader in the reset, then the dinar RV, it changes in value before that particular day because they're ready. And then sometime after that, then you have like the other currencies start to change in value, like the Vietnamese dong, because a lot of people talk about the dong. And I had heard a video from Johnny Currency 365 where somebody had a dream where they were in line cashing in on their dinars, and while they were doing that, they had announced that the dong had revalued. And you're going to see that word probably start to come out maybe a little bit in the media. So kind of look out for that. I'm talking about mainstream. So that's one of the reasons why like I'm doing this video, because I don't want you guys to miss out. And that was probably like a warning dream for those of you who have, you wait to go exchange your dinars and there's a big line, and you think you're going to be able to go purchase some dong, and then you miss out, right? There's going to be people that miss out on it. So for me, I'll just be able to order online on the day of, and I won't have to worry about it, right? So the global currency reset, when other currencies start to change their value, right? The dong, we could have the Thai baht, the rupee, and I've discussed, and I will discuss in the next video, that I think some currencies will not change until, they may not change for 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, right? So some of these countries can start getting into compliance before the law takes effect, right? Some countries won't be able to, right? I've discussed that a lot of the South American countries will not be ready, right? And then so after April the 6th, right, you have these currencies that take off before April the 6th, and then you'll have other currencies that come into play afterwards. And so we want to be ready and be able to invest in those currencies that we think that we might benefit from later on. So that's just one way to look at this. Now the next thing is the possibilities of this is that the new currency law takes effect, right? April 6th comes and it goes. And we don't see any change in any value of any currencies, right? They just ignore it and they just continue to pay the tariffs. So that could be one possibility. A lot of these countries, they could just ignore it, and maybe they just find it worth it just to pay the tariffs. And I think countries are going to look at this as a cost benefit, because we discussed about a lot of these currencies being on an even playing field. So either they're going to raise their value or they're going to pay the tariffs. Okay, so number 3 is that what if a lot of these countries start raising their value slowly before and after the date, right? So maybe you start seeing the Vietnamese dong kind of go up a little bit here and there, right? And over time, up until April 6th, it's maybe gone up 20%. Well, obviously a lot of people are going to notice that, and then maybe as time goes on, it eventually goes up to 25 cents on the dollar, right? So that is a possibility that a lot of these countries could raise their value slowly and then maybe make a jump. Maybe they go up by 10, 15, 20%, and then they make the jump the rest of the way, right? In the PKR glitch, it doubled, right? So maybe at some point it's going to go up and then it'll double to get to that point. But I really think that if the countries did start to raise their value, even by pennies here and there, I think people will start noticing right away, right? So let's say if you see the Vietnamese dong just start to slowly appreciate, then you see another currency start to kind of go up a penny here or there, start to appreciate in value. Yeah, maybe they are going to go ahead and raise it slowly, but then at some point make a jump. And maybe it's when people start noticing the markets. Well, I think for a lot of people, especially us, that if we start seeing currencies going up by a penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies, here and there, probably within a month, I think a lot of people would notice. So guys, tell me what you think about this. I will get into which currencies that I'm going to order immediately after the dinar revalues, because I think that's going to be very important in how you will be able to increase what you have on the day of. And I don't want any of you being left out standing in line, because some people will be, knowing that they're going to be trying to get another currency. You don't want to be in a position where you miss out on all the other opportunities that will come even on the day of the dinar revaluation. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Don't forget to give a like and a share. And don't forget to subscribe and check out my next video. coming out a little bit later after this one. With that being said, Twitch a Christian out.